B4E-2, stimulating demand for sustainable energy skills in the building sector, and I'll give the floor to Amandine de Costa Lacourt. Thank you.
Thank you and good morning. Before actually describing this topic, I would like to say a word about an initiative that we have been funding since 2011, initially under the Intelligent Energy Europe program and currently under Horizon 2020. I think it's very important that you have this history in mind in case you would like to apply under this topic. So the rationale for this initiative, Build Up Skills, was to say that we have to prepare all the professionals of the building value chain to the energy transition if we are really serious about decarbonizing our building stock. So initially, the initiative focused very much on on-site workers and craftsmen within national projects. So what we funded were projects that were gathering the key stakeholders from the education, the energy, and the construction sector within national qualification platforms. Sometimes it was the first time that these people were sitting around the table. And together they developed status quo analysis, so basically mapping the skills gap within the building sector in their countries. On that basis, they developed national roadmaps of actions to actually address the gaps. In the second phase, we funded still national projects, but this time turning the roadmaps into actions, so developing national qualification and training schemes for building professionals. Under Horizon 2020, we have expanded the scope of the initiative to cover not only so-called blue-collar workers, but also white-collar professions, so architects, engineers, building managers, you name it. And we also fund multi-country projects. We have already finalized 57 projects and 11 are ongoing, so it's a pretty big strand of activity. In total, we have already funded the projects at a rate of 40 million euro. If you want to get a flavor of these projects, we have issued a results pack, which already presents 5 of the ongoing Horizon 20 projects. This document will be updated later this year with additional projects. I think it's a very good basis to get familiar with build-up skills. I also wanted to flag that we've been organizing regularly exchange meetings between the projects, so they would meet each other and they would be able to exchange on the barriers, the challenges they were facing, and also the best practices that they could have. And interestingly, this also led to the creation of 4 technical working groups, which were studying some issues more in depth, in particular, how to ensure mutual recognition of skills and qualifications between countries. How do we actually leverage financing for the new training schemes so they are sustainable after the end of the project? How do we develop innovative training methods so we can attract people to the trainings? And also, how do we ensure the market recognition of these new skills? All in all, these working groups have helped to really identify the main barriers for the uptake of energy efficiency skills in the building sector. Barriers can be of economic nature. There are ups and downs in the construction business, we know it, and there's not always time and money to let people go to trainings. There can be also legal or institutional barriers when, for instance, legislation is not in place or definitions in terms of energy performance of buildings are not always consistent. There are also knowledge barriers, we know it, language or varying level of competence between professionals. But one barrier that came really, really strongly was the one of the lack of demand. So there's not always a demand for skilled professionals. So that's how we came up with the topic that I will now present. It's coordination and support action. It will be closing in September, so it's part of the second deadline. The indicative budget per proposal is between €500,000 and €1 million. So what is the main challenge? Basically, it's to act at market level and to support legislative changes that will really stimulate the demand for skilled building professionals. And of course, an associated objective is to increase the number of skilled professionals across the whole value chain. The scope, you will see that it's rather broad. So proposals can either develop, upscale, and or combine different tools and initiatives. For example, tools that would facilitate the mutual recognition of energy skills and qualifications in the building sector. We know it's a big challenge, and for example, this could be done through the development of energy skills passports or registered of skilled professionals, mobile applications to facilitate the comparison of skills and qualifications, etc. Another strand of action that could be considered by the proposals is national, regional, or local initiatives to raise awareness of building owners, homeowners, and tenants about the benefits of using skilled professionals, and also thinking into incentives for people having recourse to skilled professionals. Equally relevant is the activities that would support public authorities in setting up legislative frameworks supporting the demand for skilled professionals, for example, requirements that would be embedded in public procurements. Partnership with producers and retailers of construction products could also be considered. You can have a very good product. If it's not properly installed, it won't deliver the energy performance that we are aiming at. And basically any initiative that would reinforce or demonstrate the link between education on the one hand and energy performance quality of construction on the other. So, as you can see, the scope is pretty broad. Expected impacts, there are many listed in the core text, but you shouldn't be afraid by that. The first three are rather standard. You can see them in other core topics. Primary energy savings, renewable energy production and investment in sustainable energy. Then we have a range of impacts that are more specific to the topic, whether in terms of increased number of certification schemes, improve mutual recognition, improve collaboration and understanding across trades and professional groups, increase market acceptance, legislative changes, and a demonstrated reduction in the gap between design and the actual energy performance. Of course, some of these impacts cannot be directly quantified, that they should be demonstrated in a more qualitative manner, and they should address as and when relevant, depending on the scope of the activities presented in the proposal. I think it's quite clearly stated in the core text. Maybe to add that we have this year a topic that's quite similar, that's almost identical. What we've done in the 2020 text was only to bring a couple of clarifications. So for example, we speak of the building sector, not only the construction sector, because actually we should upskill professionals in the whole building value chain, not just construction. We've added a reference to ESCOs and to the wider benefits of renovation. And we've also merged two impact indicators that were pretty similar. But in case you were wondering, this is very much the same topic. In addition, I'd like to mention that in relation to the call that is open this year, we've issued 3 frequently asked questions, and they are also pertinent for the call of 2020 that I just presented. These questions clarify 3 elements. First of all, this topic is not about skills development activities. So it's not about developing qualification and training schemes for professionals. It's about boosting the demand. It should be clear from the core text, but since we had a lot of topics in the past on skills developments, we wanted to make it really clear. We also clarified that all educational levels can be targeted. So within the European qualification framework, it could go from 1 to 8. Of course, proposals don't have to address all of them. They can focus on one or several, and they should justify the choice. And regarding the professions, it's also very open. The core text has a list. It's not exhaustive. So all professions involved in the building value chain can be validly addressed. With this, I finished my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Amandine.